Lunch used to mean something different. It wasn't about quick drive-thrus or microwaved meals. It was about real fuel for real work. The working man's lunch pail carried more than just food. It carried the strength to finish long shifts in steel mills, coal mines, farms, and factories. Inside were hearty sandwiches, leftover roasts, pickles, pies, and stews. Meals that were simple, affordable, and made to last. These weren't just recipes, they were traditions, passed down in tin pails and thermoses from one generation to the next. Today, most of these classics have slipped into history, replaced by convenience snacks and plastic wrappers. But it's time to remember them. These are 25 forgotten working man's lunch pail classics, and we want them back. Bologna and mustard sandwich. Simple, cheap, and filling. The bologna and mustard sandwich was once the king of the lunch pail. Just white bread, a slab of bologna, and yellow mustard. No frills, no extras, just pure working-class fuel. It was quick to make, easy to carry, and hearty enough to keep a man going until supper. Who knew 3 ingredients could keep a man swinging a hammer all day? Hard-boiled eggs and salt. Few things were as reliable as a couple of hard-boiled eggs tucked into a lunch pail with a pinch of salt. They traveled well, filled you up, and cost next to nothing. In mines, fields, and factories alike, this protein-packed staple kept men working hard without slowing them down. Ham salad sandwich. Stretching leftovers was an art, and nothing did it better than ham salad. Chopped ham, mixed with mayonnaise, pickles, or relish, made a creamy, tangy spread perfect for bread or crackers. It turned yesterday's supper into today's hearty lunch. Easy to make in bulk, it was a blue-collar favorite across America. Beef stew in a thermos. When the weather turned cold, nothing hit the spot like a steaming thermos of beef stew. Packed with potatoes, carrots, onions, and chunks of beef, it was a meal that warmed both body and spirit. Mothers and wives often filled thermoses at dawn, knowing it would stay hot until the noon whistle blew. The only problem? Try opening that thermos lid with grease-covered hands. It came the real workout of the day. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich. No list of working man's lunches is complete without the PB&J. Affordable, easy to make, and endlessly reliable, it gave laborers a sweet boost of energy in the middle of the day. Peanut butter for protein, jelly for quick sugar, and soft bread to hold it all together. It was simple perfection. Cold fried chicken. Few lunches traveled better than leftover fried chicken. Packed cold into a tin pail, it stayed crispy on the outside and juicy inside. Families often fried extra on Sunday, so dads could take some to work on Monday. Greasy fingers or not, it was a satisfying bite that kept morale high. Cheese and crackers. Sometimes the simplest combos lasted the longest. A hunk of cheddar and a sleeve of crackers made for a sturdy, no-nonsense lunch. It didn't spoil quickly, fit neatly in a pail, and paired well with coffee or soup. For workers on the move, this salty, sharp snack was quick and dependable. Leftover meatloaf sandwich. Last night's dinner often became today's lunch, and meatloaf was a favorite. Thick slices of cold meatloaf, sometimes with ketchup or mustard, sat between 2 pieces of bread. Filling, cheap, and hearty, it was the perfect way to stretch a single loaf into multiple meals, a true staple of thrifty households. Sardines with crackers. Straight from the tin, sardines were a classic lunch pail snack. Salty, oily, and packed with protein. They paired perfectly with saltine crackers. Workers loved them because they were affordable, shelf-stable, and surprisingly filling. The strong smell might raise eyebrows today, but for men who needed energy fast, sardines were a powerhouse meal. Sure, your co-workers might complain about the smell, but who's laughing when you're full and they're still hungry? Apple pie slice. Dessert wasn't just for evenings. Many workers carried a slice of homemade apple pie wrapped in wax paper. It was sweet comfort after long hours, a taste of home, even in the harshest workplaces. Cheap, filling, and made with readily available fruit, pie made every lunch pail a little more special. Corned beef sandwich. Canned corned beef was cheap, salty, and hearty, making it a perfect sandwich filler. Spread on rye or white bread with mustard, it became a lunchbox staple for factory and railroad workers. It wasn't glamorous, but it was filling, reliable, and always there when a man needed a quick, meaty bite. Leftover roast beef with gravy bread. Nothing went to waste in working households. Thin slices of leftover roast beef often ended up tucked between bread, sometimes with a splash of cold gravy for flavor. Messy? Sure, but it stretched a Sunday roast into Monday's lunch, giving men a taste of Sunday supper long after the weekend. Before we continue with the video, I want to ask for your help. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and help me out. Okay, let's continue. Pickled sausage. Pickled meats were popular for their shelf life, and pickled sausage was no exception. Tangy, spicy, and salty, it kept well in jars and added a punch of flavor to otherwise plain lunches. Eaten with crackers or bread, it was cheap, filling, and strong enough to wake up a tired worker. Potato salad. A scoop of homemade potato salad packed into a wax-papered container was a summertime lunch pail hero. Potatoes, eggs, mayo, and a little mustard turned into a creamy, filling side that kept well in cool cellars or thermoses. It was inexpensive, easy to make in bulk, and satisfying alongside a sandwich. Liverwurst sandwich. Bold, rich, and cheap, liverwurst spread on bread was a classic working-class lunch. Sometimes paired with onions or mustard, it delivered protein and calories for pennies. Though not as common today, it was once a household staple, proof that lunch didn't need to be fancy to be filling and memorable. Some kids traded this away at school lunch, others guarded it like gold. It really depended on the taste buds of the playground. Cold biscuits with ham. Biscuits weren't just for breakfast. They made sturdy, portable sandwiches too. Split open and stuffed with leftover ham or bacon, they were dense enough to hold up in a lunch pail. Cheap, filling, and full of flavor, cold biscuits reminded workers of home, even when eaten on a dusty job site. Cabbage and noodles, a dish with Eastern European roots. Cabbage and noodles, often called haluski, made its way into lunch pails across factory towns. It was inexpensive, hearty, and easy to pack into a tin. Fried cabbage, onions, and noodles delivered carbs and comfort, fuel that could keep a man going through the hardest shift. Spam sandwich was the ultimate lunch pail meat, cheap, salty, and endlessly versatile. Fried or straight from the can, it was tucked into sandwiches with mustard or mayo. Its long shelf life made it perfect for households on a budget. And for working men, it was a no-nonsense meal that always hit the spot. Cold baked beans. It might sound odd today, but a jar of cold baked beans was once a staple. Sweet, smoky, and hearty, they were eaten with a spoon or spread onto bread. Beans were inexpensive, full of protein, and easy to make in huge batches. Perfect for large families sending men off to work. Cheese and onion sandwich. A working man's favorite in both the US and Britain. The cheese and onion sandwich was sharp, pungent, and incredibly filling. Strong cheddar paired with raw or pickled onions created a bold, inexpensive meal. Wrapped in paper, it was an everyday lunch that packed a punch without draining the grocery budget. Was it delicious? Absolutely. Was it a guaranteed way to clear a room after lunch? Also yes. Leftover mashed potato cakes. Nothing went to waste in thrifty households. Leftover mashed potatoes were mixed with onions, flour, and sometimes an egg, then fried into crisp cakes. Packed into a lunch pail, they were hearty, portable, and cheap. These golden patties stretched Sunday dinner into Monday fuel, keeping men full through long workdays. Pickled eggs. Brightly colored pickled eggs weren't just bar snacks. They were once a lunch pail classic. Stored in jars of vinegar and spices, they kept for weeks without refrigeration. Tangy, protein-packed, and inexpensive, they offered quick energy in mines, mills, and fields. Easy to grab and eat, they were simple fuel with flavor. Cold pork chop sandwich. A leftover pork chop, wedged between two slices of bread, was a blue-collared delicacy. Bones and all, it was hearty, salty, and unapologetically filling. Workers didn't need fancy cuts, just something that kept them going. Cold pork chop sandwiches proved that yesterday's dinner could become today's tough, no-nonsense lunch on the job. Some workers even called it the lunch with built-in dental insurance. If you could bite through the bone, you probably didn't need the dentist. Oatmeal cookies. Tucked into wax paper or tins, oatmeal cookies gave workers a sweet boost in the middle of the day. Affordable to bake and loaded with oats, raisins, or nuts, They provided quick energy without spoiling easily. Homemade with love, they were as much a comfort food as a midday pick-me-up. Cold meat pie. Savory meat pies, whether beef, pork, or chicken, were a lunch pail treasure. Dense, hearty, and wrapped in flaky crust, they traveled well and could be eaten by hand. Popular among immigrant workers, they combined flavor and practicality in one neat package. A true working man's lunch. They deserve a comeback today. The working man's lunch pail was more than just food. It was tradition, thrift, and survival packed into a tin. From cold fried chicken to pickled eggs, these forgotten classics fueled generations through long, punishing days. Today, fast food wrappers and vending machines have replaced them, but maybe it's time we bring them back. What would you want to see return to the lunch pail? Let us know below. And if this trip down memory lane made you smile, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.